people in a week.
Yeah.
So when
And
government
and
and
why is that the answer and not what Sweden did, where you just let herd immunity come about?
Sweden
I
has,
mean, huh?
Sweden has never achieved herd immunity.
Nobody in Scandinavia wears a mask.
I know, but they keep their distance. But they don't. They still haven't achieved herd immunity, and they have a similar death rate to ours.
Okay. And so who's to say that that everybody else isn't going to eventually end up with a similar death rate? See, I don't think anybody knows anything.
I don't think
I don't think anybody could have done any better job with anything on this deal.
I
I
know
don't
that.
think any. Nah, no, I don't think so. Because yeah.
I,
Oh wow. So
I know in other countries, like during the SARS epidemic, and I know what the countries did, and I know that we didn't do anything. When I go in the grocery
yeah, but
store.
SARS isn't anywhere nearly as infectious as this disease is.
You're right, but it's more deadly if you do
No,
get.
it's not. It's not. Not even close. No way.
I'm going to tell you, then what they did, then they must have really overreacted because we really underreacted. When I go in the grocery store today, if I
Yeah.
go in there, I'm going to see a whole bunch of people. You know, I'll see the same people that used to bitch about people sagging their jeans, sagging
Yeah.
their mask down around their chin because they think it's funny or something, right?
Yeah.
It's absolute crap. And you know what?
Well,
They need an operation or their doctor wants to take some blood or something, and just tell the doctor, no, don't wear a mask. Just, cough on me while you're doing the operation or something. There's a reason, right?
yeah. Well, so yeah, yeah. So
It's all
I don't.
some stuff, and that you're not going to tell me what to do. Otherwise, you're a tyranny. You're a bad government.
Well, I think that that this thing has been heavily politicized. Uh,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, to say that. I mean, if I were in the shoes of the Democrat Party and I had an agenda of establishing a one party system within the next 2 years, I would have been talking, and I was facing it a record economy like we were back in January, and this thing came across, I'd be like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. What we need to do is lock down the economy. What we need to do is create fear in people, do everything we can to destabilize things so we can sweep in like the white knights that we are and tell everybody, hey, just elect us and all this will be okay. Listen to us and everything will be fine. Yeah, I'm not buying any of this. I think it's all nonsense. I don't think anybody knows how to stop the spread. You hear so many conflicting reports, it's ridiculous. You hear this, that, and the other thing happens. Hell, that situation you talk about in China, who knows if that's accurate information? You can't get any accurate information out of China. How are you getting any accurate information out of China when they're censoring the Biden Harris debate, when not Biden Harris, but when they're censoring the Pence Harris debate, when Pence says something bad about China, they blank him out. How can you trust anything coming out of China? Who knows? For all we know, all those people died. You don't know. That's the thing is we think we know something. We don't know anything about this. All I know is if the Democrats push a one-party system, and they start and then on the back end of that they start implementing policy, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble. It's a bad idea. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to eliminate the filibuster. That's a terrible idea. Harry Reid, a Democrat, proved that. Don't eliminate the filibuster. It's a bad idea to add states to the union without a contravailing state being added. If you're going to add Puerto Rico, you got to make Texas 2 states. You got to cordon off Austin and make that a 3rd state, and then you make Texas 2 other big states. Whatever you want to do.
Like a Texan.
I mean, that's how it's been done in the past. You can't pack the court. You can't eliminate the
Austin could
electoral college, right? Like we were talking about. You are asking for some real shit to come down. And then if they do that stuff and they follow it up with the kind of policies that they've been talking about for the past 16 years since Obama, where Kamala Harris is going to come in on the first 100 days and do what you want, eliminate all military grade weapons. I don't know if she's going to do a gun buyback. Her and Ocasio-Cortez may just say, screw you. you're just going to hand your guns over. That no, I think you're asking for something you don't want. That's what I think.
Well, we'll see.
It's very possible. Yeah, but that's the thing is I think it's very possible that if the one party, if they really think and that's the other thing is you talk about how maybe it's time for the United States to be shaken up. Okay, all right, get your guns out, get ready to go to get ready to be put in the gulags.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna just.
All right.
If you look around the world, and I've traveled a bit. If you look around the world, all these other countries around the world aren't doing all that bad, and they're actually, some of them are thriving very well, and they don't have these kind of same problems that we have here. In fact, the people that I talk to when I'm overseas always ask me, "Ooh, you're American. Why do you guys do this and this and this?" It's like,
yeah.
How come you guys don't actually take care of your people? How come you don't? You know what I mean? It's like a constant. And the thing is I don't give them an excuse. I tell them the truth, and because our government doesn't care, and because the people that vote for our government don't care, because they don't want our government to be any better. And I'm not saying that, I think our government system works really, really well. It's probably the best system in the world. I don't like the parliamentary system. I don't like all that other weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I really want our government to work. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, like Roe v. Wade, why didn't they codify it right away? They should have. They still should. And it should be part of the Biden-Harris thing. And same way with same-sex marriage. And, I don't know. There's probably a half a dozen things like that, that just need to be codified. Let's move on from that. Let's stop making it a big deal, right? It even came up in Amy Coney Barrett's, what do you consider that settled? Because there are things that are settled. I can't remember. There's terms.
Super precedent.
Super precedent. That's right.
Yeah.
She did not consider those things a super precedent because there's too many questions about it.
Yeah.
Codify it. Let our representatives go ahead and write laws, get them to vote on it. And if they strike it down, if they come back and say, it's really putting it out there, to be honest with you. If they come back and they don't get it approved, or it gets struck down completely, then it really does open it up for the courts to go back and say, whoa, maybe we did make a difference. And we can point right now. But that's what you got to do, is you've got to move forward along with society and our culture, right?
Right. Well, I think, on that point, I think that if we move to this one party idea the next couple of years, I think that's some of the first policy things they will roll out. I don't think they'll do, okay, let's do a massive gun confiscation or buyback. I don't think they'll go that route. I think they'll do stuff what you're talking about. They'll pass legislation in the House and Senate signed by the president that will put into law, abortion up until the baby's head pops out, and even then, maybe you could suck the brains out. However you want to go about it. And they'll put into law stuff about same-sex marriage, transgender, that sort of thing. They'll say that hey, a 14-year-old boy who decides he's a girl can run track against the girls, and even though he's going to blow all the girls away, who gives a fuck? Yeah, that they'll start putting that shit into law. That's where they'll kind of that's where they'll kind of start. But again, I don't think that that at the end of the day, I just wonder if they'll be able to restrain themselves. How long, until they do something that again, Indiana, Kentucky, maybe not in Kentucky, maybe Indiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, where they say, okay, you know what? If you guys want to be ruled by that, go ahead. We're not. We're going to ban abortion in our state, and come get us. Mm-hmm. How long before that happens?
So I go back to the international side of this, how come everybody else seems to get along, and they have these laws on the books that we're talking about. The U.S. doesn't have these laws on the books yet, but if we want them, I want them to. How come other countries, civilized countries, they have all those laws on the books and there's no big uprising, and everybody gets along?
Right. Well, it's hard. It's hard to say because I don't. For instance, I don't know why a certain country. I don't know what countries actually have passed. legislatively have passed laws that say abortion is legal. I'm not sure what countries have done that. Um, you know, but at the
Well,
same
Ireland
time,
did it recently. Ireland did just recently.
right? Well, the court actually did that. I think I could be wrong about that. Maybe I have to go back. Maybe the legislature did do
I
that.
think it was the legislature. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question. So my only answer to that would be is Ireland, France, whatever other country doesn't have the same values that we have.
So are their
You know,
values, when you say they don't have the same values, like, are you saying they don't have the same family values or they don't have the same values? I mean, human societal values? What values are they missing or what values do we have that are so,
right. So
what do we have
um,
special?
well, that's a difficult question to answer as well. But I would say that the overwhelming majority of the United States, or enough of, I wouldn't say the overwhelming majority. I would say there's enough Christians who attend church every week who hold to Judeo-Christian values
Mm-hmm.
in the United States strongly enough that the notion of murdering a baby before it's born is something we're not up for.
So those countries have Christians also,
They
and they hold
do.
values also.
They do.
Have other religions that they hold to those values also. So I don't.
Yeah.
That doesn't really answer my question.
Well, so that, I mean, I'm just taking a stab in the dark.
Sure.
I don't know. And maybe those who hold those values just don't hold them tightly enough or strongly enough. Maybe they just finally say, hey, you know what? Been fighting this long enough. I'm sick of it. Just go ahead and do whatever you're going to do. I don't know. And then there's guys like me who are just insane enough to, okay, you will blow my head off before you will do this.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe it's just the American rugged individual, headstrong, screw you, I'm not going to let you overrun me mentality. I don't know. I have no idea what it is. I don't know why America holds out on this stuff.
I think that's why that's why the "Make America Great Again" slogan went so well, is because
Yeah.
people can't identify when America was great. They won't pin a number on it or a date on it.
Mm.
Everybody has a feeling and has a set of values that they think that go along with that, so they can
Right.
identify.
Yeah.
But any date that they pick has another set of values or another set of experiences that don't make it the best date, right?
Yeah. Sure.
So, but that's the beauty of that of that particular slogan is that it doesn't have to answer to a date or anything. It answers to a feeling, right, or feelings within an individual.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, that's the thing is I don't think that here's the problem I have with the whole morality discussion is that a couple of things. One is, um, I think that anybody who lays out a vision of morality should be able to defend it rationally, not emotionally. Okay, so the problem with that is that, well, who are you to say that we should pick rationality over emotion? Maybe I want to have my value system based on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I don't have any argument against that other than to say, I think we have a word from a higher power, which trumps all that. And I think really that's where it all leads back to. And which, incidentally, if you're wondering why, I kind of was, atheist left wing and then swung back. That was the thing. Was okay. Who gets to dictate the terms, right? And on what basis?
Well,
right?
That's what I coach is. We have to have a basic morality that the government, in a better word, dictates to us. You like to use that word, but anyway,
Right.
or makes to us, right? They have to have a floor that we have to build from there, and then everybody has their own morality or their own values that they put above that. But we still have to have that floor, right? And
Right.
that
Right.
floor is what
Right.
we're
So
discussing,
yeah.
right?
So but the problem with it is that the government comes along and say, and again, abortion's a perfect example. They say, okay, we say that women should be able to make this choice, and fundamentally that conflicts with my values. So I'm
Right.
disagreeing with the bedrock value of what the government has put forth. The government has said that that marriage between men is perfectly acceptable, and that conflicts with a bedrock value. So that's the problem.
No, if you think about it, they've set the floor, right?
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you're a better human being than you live on the second floor. But they've only set the floor. That doesn't affect your life.
No.
It's no
Yeah, it
effect.
does. But that's where I think you're wrong. I think that we talk about you say we versus me. See, if all I was worried about was me, Jen, and the kids, hey, you all go out and kill your babies, marry other men. That's the thing. I said something really egregious to a friend of mine, I don't know, a few months back that I really regret. And I said to her, well, hey, they're all marrying men, and the men are marrying the men, the women are marrying the women, and aside from that, they're killing their babies. So we'll just, basically outbreed them is what's going to happen. It's a terrible thing to say. I mean, how me focused is that, right? It's a terrible thing to say. What I should say to them, what?
You're building a bigger we, I guess, right?
Well, but that's the thing is, no, what I should say is, no, it's not cool that you guys are doing this, because this is not good for you. It's not cool that you're killing your babies. It's not cool that you men are sodomizing each other. That's not cool. It's not healthy. All right. So let's talk about this, right?
But that is your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion. I think that's objective truth. It's not healthy. It's not. It's your opinion. Think about this. No, it's not. It's not my opinion. It's objective fact.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
because so let me just attack this from a reasonable point of view. Because here's the thing is, I think you and I can reason together. That's why we can talk, because we can reason.
Sure.
So it is not. You can't. It has always baffled me. And again, I'm like you. I've got many gay friends. I've had many gay friends. And it has always baffled me how two men can say that they love each other, but yet, and I'm just going to be crude right here, one can stick the other's dick up the other one's ass and say that's love, because that's not love. You don't sodomize somebody you love. That's assault.
But you're equating love with love making, which it's not. Okay, love and sex are two different things. You can have somebody that you love and never have sex with them. Or you can have somebody you have sex with and never love them. All right.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. Now you're kind of getting down into the emotional part of it, but again, when two gay people are together, my considered guess is that 99% of the time they are consummating that relationship on a regular basis.
You know, I'm going to tell you right now, love is an emotion. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to look it up.
Well, no, I disagree with that too.
Love is an emotion, right?
Okay.
People can love each other and not have sex, or vice versa.
Well, I would agree that people can love each other and not have sex and vice versa, but I would disagree with you that love is an emotion. Love is defined by action. Mm-hmm. The way you show somebody you love them is you don't sodomize them. That would be just starters.
Well, maybe that's what they think shows love. Maybe their act of love is different than your act of love.
Okay.
Maybe somebody thinks that if you give them a ham sandwich, that's an act of love.
Okay.
Like there's different. I mean, I know what your definition is, and I know where you get it from, and I'm not faulting you for that at all. Not at all. I'm just saying other people have other definitions of what love is and what relationships are versus what yours is.
Yeah. So, well, and so when I was at Claremont and my gay friends couldn't make it to class because they were sick, because they had a sexual encounter the night before, and it caused them so much pain and discomfort and whatever else that was going on with them, intestinal issues, that they couldn't make it to class the next day. I had a hard time thinking, oh, that's real love there. That it's not a healthy lifestyle.
Was it consensual?
Consensual, yeah, consensual.
There you go.
Okay, so here's the one I always throw out to people. If a wife is married to a guy, and let's just call her Amy, and Amy is cool, and let's kind of call the guy Gary. Amy is cool with Gary beating the living crap out of her every night, and she loves that. She said, that's love to me. And you're their friend, what would you say? I'm not cool with that. Okay? I'm not cool with guys sticking their penises in other guys' anuses to the point where they're sick the next day. That's
Yeah.
not cool. I'm not cool with that. All right.
Uh-huh.
So, so there's my reasoned argument. Yeah. Is the bedrock of it Holy Scripture, which teaches me that, yeah, guys shouldn't have, a male should not lie with another man as he lies with a woman. Yeah. And there's a reason for that because the dude is not in good shape the next day. It just doesn't work out great.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time getting my mind around that. The same thing with abortion. I don't have to quote you any passage from Holy Scripture to say that, hey, you know what? Science has said that life begins at conception. You can go check it out. All the science agrees on this. We want to talk about science with the pandemic. Let's talk about science with abortion. Life begins at abortion. Life begins at conception. So if you terminate that, you are committing murder. It's life. You just killed a child. Okay.
I
So
was thinking about this. I was
okay.
thinking about it and even discussing it because there's so many mechanics in what goes on with our contraception and abortion and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask your opinion on something.
Okay.
And it follows the same line, but it's not exactly the same. So everything's okay as far as contraception, as far as somebody wearing a prophylactic. I'm sure you're okay with that. Protects you from disease and also protects for pregnancy. Women
Well,
take
so all right. Well, all right. Let me let you finish, and then I'm going to blow your mind probably.
yeah, women taking a pill, okay, or having or whatever, they're taking a pill. And then I
Right.
thought of the other methods of contraception. The insertion thing, the UDI or whatever it is, the wire wear, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know.
and what that is isn't that a constant abortion?
Well, so okay, all right.
Do you want to
Here-
get to the end of it? Because what it's doing really is scraping the uterus to make sure that an egg doesn't implant. But if it's a fertilized egg that's trying to implant and the uterus is being scraped, then that's a constant abortion.
Right. So
Just
So
I
all
know-
right. Here's my belief. Again, you're going to push me to my extreme position, which
Okay.
is legitimate to do so. So I believe that sex is first and foremost for the bearing of children, and secondly for pleasure.
Mhm.
So if you are interfering with the production of children in your sexual activity, you're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
Okay. So, for instance, Amelia, my daughter, as far as I know, she's 18, still a virgin. Okay. I've told, coached her and said, you will be much happier if you marry somebody with like beliefs, like religion, and you guys, you have sex together, and that's the only person you're gonna have sex with. And she's like, yep, I'm down with that. I agree with that. So she never has to worry about, if she marries the right person, getting a sexually transmitted disease. So she never has to worry about whoever she marries wearing a condom. Okay, so that problem's eliminated, right? When they get married, we've talked about this, and the sex act is for you to bear children and give me grandchildren and your grandmother, great grandchildren, and your cousin Jeff here, second and third cousins. That's the idea. And so we're down with that. And so, yeah, so it's sex for pleasure? Sure, of course. I mean, Jen, my wife can't have can't have children anymore, but we still have sex.
Mhm.
I mean, and again, we're God-fearing, faith-filled people. Do we believe that God could do a miracle and make Jen pregnant? Yeah, sure, why not? But we still enjoy having sex. That's fine. Okay. But the thing of it is that our culture has so placed the pleasure of sex above all else that we've got all these crazy things to keep the childbearing thing from ever happening. We just want sex to be about pleasure. And I think that's terrible. I think that's caused problems in our society. Because I think, talk about, the African American community, they don't, again, our, white supremacist culture has created a situation where they don't have access to the kind of birth control methods or the education that we have on these issues. And it's so, yeah, I think the best thing for human beings, if they want to have sex, is find somebody to marry, have sex with that person, have children with them. And don't worry about the contraception. Then you don't have to worry about it. Have as many children as you want, no problem. Done deal, right?
That's wonderful. You must have a white picket fence out front, don't you?
I don't yet. I have a brown picket fence in back.
Okay, okay.
But again, that's the thing is, I hear you. I mean, it is that's idyllic, right? That's really idyllic. Um, and so, what are we going to do about the in between? Is really the question you're asking. And yeah,
Well, that's idyllic for you.
yeah. Well, no, I think empirically speaking, I think you'd be hard pressed to find, and I don't think you can find any culture where homosexuality predominates, and that culture was, or that that culture was what we would call, I don't, first
No,
of all, I don't think you can find, yeah,
but
um,
I'm involved in all cultures, though. I've seen examples of it in every culture I've seen.
oh sure, oh absolutely, you're gonna find it, for sure, and but that's going to be on the fringes, right? That's not going to be mainstream stuff. The
Right.
mainstream, the cultures that survive are cultures where a man and a woman get together, they marry, and they have children, and they raise those children in the context of a intact marriage relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your children are a prime example of that. Even though now you and Maria are divorced, but still, your kids they're, I mean, relatively speaking, they're okay because they
Mm-hmm.
had their dad, they had their mom. Okay,
Sure.
we're okay. We're not out, doing whatever. And so that's anecdotal, but I think the data bears it out that if you have a mom and a dad in a home with the kids that are born by that mom and dad or adopted into that family by mom and dad, you have a much better, more productive situation with those children going forward. You just don't have any data to show otherwise.
Yeah, but I think that's idyllic, and I think that, especially in today's society, I don't think that that's the norm. I wish it was, because us growing
Okay.
up back in the '60s and '70s, I think it was the norm. I mean,
Yeah.
mom stayed home and take care of us. It was like it was a huge thing having a mom home every day when you came home
Yeah.
from school, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the
100%.
idyllic thing. But I don't think we're there with our society like that anymore.
Yeah, I know. But
Young people
then we have
trying.
to step back and ask. Yeah. Well, but I guess then you have to step back and ask yourself, why is that?
Hmm.
Why has it come to that point? Is it just because, who knows, or is it because we have stopped defending the values?
I don't
You
think
know.
it's. I think it's more economic.
Well, but think about it. I mean, if
Or
so,
to
here's
change the
so,
values we value in our life. Maybe not so much family, but things and the economic part of it. Like my dad was always able to provide for us as a family, right?
yeah.
And it's very difficult for a dad to provide for a family nowadays without a wife
Right.
working. So, or vice
Well,
versa.
right, yeah. So I mean, go back and read Elizabeth Warren's book from the early 2000s called The Two Income Trap.
Hmm.
Great book,
Yep.
wonderful book.
Hmm.
I wish our see that's one of the unintended consequences I think of feminism is
Hmm.
that okay, hey, women can anything you can do, I can do better. Okay, I no problem. My wife could probably drive my given the experience and training that I have, she could probably drive the truck better than I could. No problem.
I'm,
Got that.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I'm cool with that. All right. But the thing of it is and again, not to pigeonhole people into roles. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem if Jen says, "Hey, I want to go out and drive trucks,
Hmm.
and you stay home and take care of the kids." Okay. I mean, we've actually talked about that because she's a really good manager. Just period in the story. She's managed restaurants, retail store. She could go out and make $80,000 or $100,000 a year doing that sort of thing, and I could
Hmm.
stay home with the kids. We've
Right.
talked about it. And she's like, no, I'm cool with what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And that's her preference. I don't have a problem with swapping those roles around. But the thing of it is that we forced ourselves into this trap where we have to have these two incomes. And that's the thing is we just happen to be fortunate that we've been able to kind of slide by with Jen staying home and me working. We just kind of finagled this, that, and we're just fortunate in that situation. But
But that's
but I
but you're very you have an unusual situation.
yeah, very unusual, definitely. Well, and not to say that we don't make choices about stuff. I mean, we don't, I don't eat out on the road. Jen cooks all my food. We don't go out to dinner very often. We're very frugal about how we spend money.
Yeah.
But that's ancillary. the point being that that I think you're right. I think in most situations, both folks have to work. Especially starting off. We're way removed from starting off, because when we started off, Jen and I both worked full time. So you've got those type of situations. I think what we've seen is that when mom and dad are together, whether they're both working or whether one's working or whatever else, when mom and dad are together and they have the children, it's a much better situation.
It is. I agree.
So that's where I kick against the whole sexual revolution. This whole having sex for pleasure and that sort of thing. I think it's a trap. I think that's a very, very dangerous trap, and I've been around the block a time or two on this. I've tried it out a couple of times. It just doesn't work out very well, even on an individual level. Again, it's anecdotal, but I just have a hard time finding that this is the best thing for human flourishing. Let a guy put
the best thing. I'm just saying that's where our society is.
Right. Well, and I think our society is there because for whatever reason people have been scared into or cowered into or whatever against standing up for these values. I mean, hell, I could put I don't know, if we had a big enough following, you and I right now, if I put this video out on Twitter, I could get banned for what we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I'm being heteronormative.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm saying that the best way for humans to flourish is to have a man and a woman and have children. That's heteronormative.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great, you don't know about this sin in our society, the heteronormativity?
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah. That's there.
It's there.
So
and you're a sinner.
What's that? Yeah, I'm a sinner.
And you're a sinner.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff. All right, well, look at us go.
How long
We've got
been
about 2 hours and 42 minutes. 43 minutes now.
Wow.
Did I talk enough this time?
You did. I was like, I am going to let Matt just keep on talking.
I'm going to go.
Yeah. And good ones you're going to go back to and you're going to go, oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think you'll
let's see how it goes. You don't have to tell me now, but let me know. I mean, are you ready to wrap this up, or you want to keep going?
We can keep going if you got something to talk about. I'm going to take a bathroom break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. You want to keep going? I'll keep going. Yeah. I'm going to grab a beer or two.
What other world problems you want to solve today?
Well, I think the subjects you brought up. I think healthcare is a real issue. What I'm interested in is how can we solve this short of revolution?
Yeah.
That's really where I got mixed up when I was out at Claremont. I was like, okay, what you guys are talking about is some serious stuff.
Yeah.
Now the problems you're bringing up are worth looking at, worth tackling, but how can we do this short of, all of us taking up arms and,
arms. I mean, if you, like I just said a little while ago, all these other countries around the world have tackled all these problems. They've got them tried. They've got them working right now. We can learn a lot from them. I mean, but we always want to go on our own because we're better than everybody else. But we're Americans, that's right. But all of them have tackled it, and so it's like learning a foreign language. When I lived overseas, the way you have to approach it, it's not that. Is that it's kind of a puzzle, and everybody around you already knows the answer, and you got to figure it out. Yeah. So everybody around us right now already knows the answer to these questions that America has fallen so far behind on.